Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at the SPY, the IWM, the Qs, the DIA, the IYT, the USO, the UUP, and the GLD. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly timeframes. We use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. Go to our website, sign up for a free membership for more videos like this, live streams, trade ideas, and a little bit of education here and there about how to read the charts. All right, well, let's get right back into the daily SPY here. Again, nothing wrong above the MAs, popped up to this upper trend line again. If you're bullish, you want to get above these lines, this one, and make a run for maybe 235, 236. This is some good bullish consolidation. It's a little choppy sloppy. It's not bad. We're still above the 20 MA, the 50 MA, and the 200, so it's still in a good position here. But we're right back into this trend line. I wouldn't doubt they gap it up. They're going to have to gap this thing up and try to go for this thing. They don't want to deal with the 230. We've had a bunch of consolidation here, but just keep an eye on that. If we come back in, then this is your line in the sand coming down with this trend line here. We're going to open it up a little bit more now. But right there, and then you have the 50 MA, and then ultimately you have gap fill, and then double this little pivot here. I would expect it to come in and then maybe bounce up and maybe another retrace, and then maybe the next leg down. We'll see if it does, like a zigzag pattern or something like that. Weekly chart, same thing, closed right above. We did have a pretty good bullish pattern inside bar, kind of chopping, try to take off. Trying to get above there, still having some problems. Let's see if we get through the double top again, and then the 230, and then the 232 area. Next week we're going to pop off right around here. So you're looking at 232.64, somewhere in there, 232.50. Let's just say 233 if it starts moving up. I want to see it get through that and close above. Bearish, you need to get below this line. I think we could go easily to 220. And then maybe down in this area around 219 or so. Then you do have a gap fill around the 218.41. Then ultimately the 50 MA on the weekly SPY. So volume still light, 80 million. So keep an eye on that. IWM. IWM, same thing. We did end up closing above this little channel. So we have been chopping around up and down, up and down. Boom. This is the weekly chart. So boom, we popped up above. We're right back into the 750 retrace. We need to get above these pivots, and I think we could shoot up towards the 140 area. As we're going sideways, though, that's exactly where it's going to be with this trend line here. We're going to get to the one. Let me draw it in a little better here. Yeah, the 140 area right here. So if this thing goes up into this, you look out for some resistance here. If it can't get through it, then of course you're going to turn around and come back down. Let's look at the daily chart. I think we're up a couple days. Nope. So we chopped around. We got above it, came back in, went after it again, came back in. Now they gapped it up, and that's how they did this one here, guys. Jobs report came out, and it was like, oh, our time to get it above the MAs again. We always talk about the moving averages. As long as we're above it, the technicians out there are like, hey, as long as we're above the MAs, we're a strong stance. It's going to be good. So, and, we are above those, and we're above the channel again, too. But we still have, these pivots here and a couple things like that. Right now, we're just kind of teetering down this area, too. I mean, I guess you could stick this in here too. If you really, you could put one in here, like right in there. So, if you want to do that, you have this trend line as well. So you have that upper one too, where we're into. So let's keep an eye on this one here. Nothing really wrong. Other, light volume though, kind of floating. So you got to keep an eye on that. Weekly chart, like I said. We're back above that area, and this isn't a bad bull flag. I'd like to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 weeks sideways. It is building pressure. We talked about here. If we get 8 to 10 weeks, it could possibly move up. We're right in that time frame where this can move up. If this fails, then we're going down. Pretty simple. or the pattern fails. Qs, same thing. We're right up into this top area. Now we're in another inside bar. Let's see if we go sideways, just like the IWM. Do we go sideways for a couple weeks and then the next leg up, or do we have a pullback? Coming off these. We had a pretty good move. From down in here. We're holding this trend line too. We have a little trend line up in here as well. So again, a lot of support, a lot of resistance. I have a lot of lines in here. Let's go to the daily chart real quick. Daily chart, same thing. Got up here, chopping around, pulled back, popped back up this line, the 125 area. Chopping around. At this point, this 20 MA curls up into price, maybe over here, maybe it sends it up, but let's keep an eye on that. If this thing starts to come back in, then you're looking at, some support here, gap fill, you have the trend line, 50 MA, you got this trend line connecting lows down in here that we can pull up a little bit. You know, we got a couple other ones too. It's a little bit sloppy in here, but you can see, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here. These are the fibs coming from the top to the bottom pivot here. So you have the 618 down in this area with the 50 MA. So watch out for that. And the weekly, I think we went through this one. Yeah, weekly, same thing. It's moving up, all right? Nothing wrong. You're above the MAs here. Nothing wrong with these charts. And then let's look at the daily on the monthly. The monthly was the last close. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, so we closed above here. So next month, let's see if we could close above this line and continue up. You know, that's what we're kind of looking for too. The DIA, though, was ripping today. Unbelievable. Everything's great again, guys. The banks were leading, the Goldman Sachs, the JPMs. Apple was up a little bit, but the banks were really leading the charts today. McDonald's was up a little bit today. Baidu was up. Amazon got hit. Really didn't affect the markets at all. Netty's been going up. The Tesoro's been just ripping up. That's been unbelievable. Nvidia's at the highs again. But anyways, I'm going off on all these other charts. So the monthly chart, let's go to the daily chart of the Dow. Sorry about that, got sidetracked here. So again, we're above the 20 MA, you know, nothing wrong, chopping around, bullish pattern here, just like we did last time. You know, you go back a couple months, that's exactly what we did. Moved up and it just sat, and then took off. So do we move up, sit, have a little pullback, and then go up? Maybe again, who knows? Let's keep an eye on these patterns. But honestly, it's not that bad of a pattern to move up. You know, it's bullish. But you know, just in the time frame, you know, and we didn't close on the weekly. We did, you know, I'd like to see a close up in here. So far, this isn't really telling us anything on the Dow, but you know, still strong, still consolidating up here, holding this trend line. We need to get above the, you know, we need to hold up and consolidate, and then make the next move up if you want higher prices. And if this thing fails, then of course you're coming down. You have support at the MAs here. Well, as it comes down, we'll talk. You know, I'd say maybe into 181. And you got a gap fill down here around 178. If it comes in, we'll see. It will come in eventually. It's just a matter of when. So, and you know, just be aware, you know, if it does and it really starts to move, you got, you know, if you're long, you know, tighten that stop up, because we could probably be down here and maybe fill the gap in, you know, 2 days, where it just wipes out months of gains in a week or what have you. So just be careful. I can't say that enough, guys. We're in that time frame where, you know, it could happen. Now the IYT, you know, had a great move here, double top, pulled back, got back above the 50 and the 20 MA today, closed. I want to see a little more follow through, maybe one more repeat step, fill the gap up here, and then the next leg down. If you're bullish on this one, you need to get above this yellow line, which was the old all-time high. Stick above, confirm, get above the new all-time high, and then go. And I think, you know, 175, 176 area, maybe higher depending on the markets, but again, if it comes back below the MAs, fills the gap, it could possibly go lower here. So keep an eye on Monday's close. Do we close up here, or do we turn around and come back below the MAs and possibly start to set up a bearish pattern from this high and then sideways? So you got to watch for that couple of different patterns there. On the weekly, again, you know, we went up real nice, double top, boom. You know, we opened up a little bit down, and bam, it just took it down. I mean, not a lot of damage, but it's you know, a little bit of a reversal here. I would have liked, you know, to see a real good reversal. You'd want to close at the lows, but not bad. We still closed inside this green bar, so you can't complain if you're bullish. If you're bullish again, you want to get above the all-time high, 170, 116, and then maybe, you know, to 175, 176, depending if you get some follow through. Bearish, you know, you just need to start, you know, you need to get below this area here. Then you have a gap to fill, and then the 50 MA around the 157. But you know, I think, you know, if we get a good nice pullback, you know, I think this thing could come into the 146, possibly fill the gap right here. 144, and if it really goes, you know, you got the 200 MA here on the weekly too at 140. So it's a $25 drop. It's a pretty good drop, but it's, you know, 10% or whatever. So let's see here, the IYT, the USO. USO, again, nothing wrong with this thing, just chugging along here. You know, a lot of news, you know, lip service lately with the, you know, with the OPEC thing or the non-OPEC guys or whatever the heck news it was, you know, a couple months back. And, you know, we're kind of just chopping around in a little slightly bearish pattern. Even though we're above the moving averages, this is a little bit bearish to me. You know, if we can't get above these pivots, fill this gap, then I'm thinking this thing's going to set up and maybe start rolling over with the markets. So you got to keep an eye on the markets as well. But right now, nothing wrong above the moving averages, just kind of chopping around. Let's see what happens in the you know, next week. You know, we get let's see here. we get a new piece of the puzzle every day, and it starts Monday, and we'll start putting them together, see which way this thing could go. I want to do a shorter fib on this one just to see. Yeah, so we're back into the 5-0 retrace. Maybe that, I like this gap fill area. Let's see if it starts to move up, how it reacts up into this, 1172 area, if it just rips up. And if it can't do that, then I'm thinking, if you're bearish, you want to get, below the 50 and the 20, and then you're going to come down, in this lower area pivot where you're going to have some support in the 200 MA. So you have a lot of support. For me, I would think a gap down, and then it really starts to go to get through some areas. And then I'm thinking, there's some big trend lines down here and stuff too. So, but right now, nothing wrong. It is still a pretty good bullish pattern. You're in a kind of a channel going up, and then down back into the low. Now you're chopping around on the lower end of the channel, giving it slight bullish pattern or bearish pattern. Weekly, it did close, but basically on a weekly, same thing. You're above the MAs on here, above that trend line, you're fine. You need to get above here, and then maybe you'll get up to the 1247 area up in that ad. So, but right now though, slightly bearish, but still bullish on this on the weekly as well. So again, nothing wrong here, nothing wrong. Went up, kind of had some failed tried breakouts, but then you're down sideways a little bit, so you have to keep an eye on that too. That was the USO, the UUP. UUP was, pretty much flat on the day, nothing, nothing big. On the weekly, it's holding on to the 20 MA there. It closed right below it today, so let's see on Monday if it could pop up and close above. You are still, well, you did close below the lower pivots here on the weekly too, so that's a little bit weaker, but you almost filled the gap too. So this, let's see if we can wait for pattern. This is the weekly. Let's go to the daily really quick. Daily, same thing. Yeah, you're just barely holding on to these pivots. It did close below it, and you are in a bearish stance below the MA, so this could actually go lower. Maybe we go to gap fill around 25 bucks. If it hits 25 bucks, then I might be a player in the dollar again, down in this area, this trend line at 200 MA. The I think the 618 here, I'd have to look where that setup is. Yeah, I think it goes from here to down in there. But right now, nothing wrong with the UUP, other than maybe a little more downside. But right now, we're just kind of chopping. You do the 1, 2, and then 3, and then maybe one more leg up. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. But right now, we're trying to hold on. A little bit weak. We'll see where we close on Monday and see how it ends up on the next week's close. If we close below here and fill this gap down in this area, then we'll probably definitely go into the $25 area. That goes down. Oil, gold should move up. Gold, well, gold's been pretty much intact, okay. Oil's been a little bit out of tact with the oil will go up, dollar will go up, oil will go down, dollar will go down. So you got to keep an eye on that. So then the last one is the GLD. If you've been in long with this with me, so far so good. It is staying above the 50 and the 20. It is going in a bullish pattern for possible higher prices. If you want it to go up, we're looking at in this area here, 120 to 121. And then, man, if it really starts to go, I'm hoping it gets to the 125, maybe even 128, somewhere up in this area, and then we'll, reevaluate the chart, maybe take a quarter off and try to get a little bit more possibly. We'll see how this thing sets up sideways. But right now, nothing wrong with this chart. And, well, if you're bearish gold, then, you want to get below the 50 and the 20 MAs, and then pretty much just reverse and come back in. If it comes back down in this area here, around 107 or so, 108, you can start buying back down here again. And if it starts going a little bit lower, 105, 101, and then $100, you can start doing it that way. But right now, nothing wrong. I'm liking this pattern here. We did pop it back above. Let's try to give this thing a chance and see if we could get it to play out. We're long in gold, by the way, guys. So that's why I'm saying we were adding at 115, 112.50, and then 108 area. Now we're in the money on the trade, and just hanging on. I'm hoping to get, I'd love to get 6 or 7 more bucks out of this thing, and I'll be done. On to the next one, guys. And weekly chart, same thing. You're busting into this. Did they? Oh, right on top. Gosh, I think it is right on top. Oh my gosh, no, I think we're closed right below it, right below the 20 MA. So you're pretty much right on top of it. So let's see if we could get through that. If it does, then I'm telling you, I'm looking right in this area. I'd love to see this top right here. And gosh, if we could bust up and get through here, actually, this is your big area right here, 125. If you get up there, you got to take some off the table. This thing will most likely pull back. All right, guys, I'm out of here. It's Friday night. Thanks again for watching my video. Sign up for my free stuff on my website. And thanks for watching my videos. God bless. See you on the charts.